Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really important, self-care, specifically for mental health professionals.
Yeah, it's a big one. And our main guide here is the book Counselor Self-Care by Gerald Corey and, well, a whole team of people.
Right. And this book didn't just appear out of nowhere. It really grew from the authors seeing how tough the job is, how much demand there is on helpers.
Exactly. And they saw a real gap in clear guidance for counselors and trainees, too, on how to actually look after themselves.
So inside we've got insights from the authors, other pros, reviewers, lots of perspectives.
Definitely. Our job today is to pull out the key stuff for you listening.
Whether you're, a counselor studying to be one, or honestly, anyone who spends a lot of time caring for others, it applies broadly, I think.
Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, there's this kind of puzzle the book tackles.
Which is?
Well, why is it often so incredibly hard for people whose whole career is caring for others?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for them to prioritize their own care?
Huh. Yeah, that is the central question, isn't it?
It really is. And it wasn't just theoretical for the authors. They actually saw it happen.
How so?
They assigned a self-care project to first-year grad students meant to reduce stress,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, makes sense.
But it actually became a huge source of stress for them. The students struggled, like, defining what self-care even meant for them, how to actually do it.
Wow. So the thing meant to help became another pressure. That really highlights the problem.
It really does. It shows this disconnect between knowing self-care is important and, actually making it happen.
Okay, let's dig into that. It does feel kind of paradoxical. The experts in mental health struggling with their own mental health practices.
It does.
It makes me think straight away of the flight attendant instruction, put your own oxygen mask on first.
Exactly. It's the perfect analogy here.
Because you can't help anyone else if you're, well, running out of air yourself.
Precisely. And Barnett, mentioned in the book, puts it clearly. Self-care isn't selfish. It's absolutely essential if you want it to be effective for your clients.
Our own wellness directly impacts our work.
Directly. And the authors say, look, the first step, just taking some time to reflect. Honestly, how is the quality of my life right now?
That reflection piece seems key. It's the starting point for changing behaviors, right? For boosting well-being.
Yeah, that's self-awareness.
Okay, so building on that,
Yeah.
the book gets into this risk. Empathy fatigue. Sounds serious.
It really can be. Mark Stepnicky talks about it. It's the stress you get from just constantly hearing, absorbing, engaging with clients' trauma stories.
Okay. It's more than just feeling tired then.
Oh, definitely. And what's really interesting, or maybe concerning, is how those stories can sometimes echo the counselor's own past experiences or struggles.
So it hits closer to home, creates this feedback loop maybe.
Kind of, yeah. And Stepnicky is clear. This isn't just emotional tiredness. It can hit you physically, mentally, spiritually, even affect your job performance.
Yeah.
Real exhaustion across the board.
That's heavy.
It is. And the book brings in this perspective from Native American philosophy. This idea that healing others can literally take a piece of you.
Wow. Like the wounded healer idea.
Exactly that archetype. Someone whose own wounds inform their healing, but they have to be so careful about the cost.
So managing this empathy fatigue, it's about recognizing when you're losing yourself in it.
That's what Stepnicky stresses. You have to notice when you've kind of lost touch with your own center because you're carrying so much.
And then make changes. Actively choose things to boost your own happiness.
Yes, actively, deliberately. It requires conscious effort.
So that brings us right to happiness then, as a core part of self-care.
Right. And the book pushes back against the idea that happiness is just about, money or possessions.
Which is what society often tells us, isn't it?
It does. But drawing on Lubomirski's work, the book emphasizes happiness coming from purpose, from meaning.
Not one big thing, but daily choices.
Exactly. A whole series of small, conscious choices you make every day.
Okay, so what kind of choices? What actually builds happiness according to the research in the book?
Well, kindness comes up a lot. Being kind to yourself, being kind to others. Schuler and Parks found that's a big pathway.
Makes sense. And relationships.
Huge. Strong, supportive relationships are vital. Passmore and Oates highlight that too.
And I think Petra Schoning's point was interesting that happiness isn't passive. You don't just find it.
Right. It's something you cultivate. You can actually improve your happiness. It's an active process.
And the goal isn't necessarily like constant bliss, but more personal fulfillment, life satisfaction.
Exactly. A deeper sense of well-being and satisfaction with your life overall.
Okay, so the book then walks us through different career stages, right? Starting with grad school. That seems like a pressure cooker.
Oh, absolutely. Michelle Muratori talks about the stress of just juggling everything, even before starting her PhD.
Right, the multiple roles.
And then during the PhD, realizing she couldn't just put self-care off until later, it had to happen now.
And that ties back to that self-care project idea, the one that backfired.
Yeah, her experience with her students really showed how even good intentions around self-care can add pressure if not handled right.
So, grad school. What are the specific hurdles there? Perfectionism comes up, doesn't it?
It does. And the book makes a really useful distinction, adaptive versus maladaptive perfectionism.
Okay, what's the difference?
Adaptive is more like having high standards, striving,
Mm.
enjoying the process. Healthy, but maladaptive. Moat and others link that to stress, burnout. It's driven by fear of failure, needing approval.
Ah, okay. That sounds like a trap.
It can be. And Jerry Corey shares his own story about struggling with, of all things, statistics in his PhD.
Really, even the experts struggle.
Absolutely. And he highlights how crucial mentors were in helping him get through that fear and anxiety.
Mentors are key. And it's not just academics, is it? Aaron Hatcher mentioned boundaries.
Yes, a grad student perspective, setting boundaries early on with peers, faculty, even those first clients. Super important.
And Ty Leonard's advice, make the inside outside. What's that about?
It's about managing anxiety, being present, like acknowledging those physical feelings, the racing heart, whatever, instead of fighting them, bringing them into awareness to process them.
Interesting technique. The book also touches on tougher experiences, right, for minority students.
Yes, very thoughtfully. Julius and Jasmine Austin share their experiences with microaggressions
And how that connected to self-worth and self-care for them.
directly. Julius talks about missing expected mentorship from a faculty member of color and how that really hit his sense of belonging, his self-worth. It underscores needing that support.
Feeling seen and understood matters so much.
Absolutely. And then there's the dissertation stress, the job hunt. Julius stresses self-compassion and having support through all that.
And he had a unique support system, being twins with Jude in the program.
Yeah, he mentioned that was a huge built-in advantage, having that shared experience and support.
Okay, moving past grad school, early career, different challenges emerge then.
They do. One counselor shared how vital it was to find things outside work for renewal and needing courage to be vulnerable with friends, colleagues.
I remember those early years, balancing work, maybe starting a family.
Yeah.
It's intense.
You mentioned that yourself, right? The work-family balance.
Oh, yeah. For me, getting into cycling early on was, well, kind of a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Having that physical outlet became non-negotiable self-care.
That structure helps. Then comes mid-career. More established, but maybe different kinds of pressure.
Yeah, Jerry Corey's story about his father's illness and death really struck me. Handling a personal crisis while juggling major work responsibilities.
And he credits his supervisors and colleagues hugely. That support was vital.
Absolutely. And he also talks about just managing multiple roles, teaching, writing, admin, needing serious time management, and, protecting personal time.
And recognizing stress. He mentioned learning to let go, deal with physical symptoms like headaches, even trying rolfing. It shows that ongoing adaptation.
Learning what works for you at different stages, and then late career, Randy's experience as an administrator.
Yeah, he focused on connection, humor, daily check-ins, balancing being compassionate with, holding people accountable.
Still prioritizing the relationship aspect.
And physical activity, still essential for him. He sees it as just fundamental to well-being long-term.
That's a powerful message. And the book warns against waiting for retirement to have hobbies.
So cultivate those interests now, throughout your life. Don't postpone joy.
Okay, so across all these stages, the book is packed with strategies. Let's tick through some. Taking vacations, alone time for introverts. Seems basic, but crucial.
Foundational, yeah.
Yeah.
Connecting with friends, music, dancing, things that bring joy and connection.
And that idea of presence, even in short interactions.
Yeah, a psychiatrist mentioned that. Just being fully there with someone, even briefly, can be powerful. Mindful engagement.
And learning to distance yourself from the work emotionally, laying down the burden, so to speak.
Crucial. Processing emotions without judgment. Not carrying everything home.
Striving for happiness daily, gratitude. Those seem like recurring themes.
Very central. Then more active things.
No.
Mindfulness, meditation. Mark Young found it shifted his perspective, created a non-anxious presence.
And neuroscience backs that up now, right? Calming the nervous system.
It does. And physically, yoga and Pilates get mentioned by Sandy Fulcher. Good for the body, especially with sedentary work, but also for emotional release.
Posture, tension.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. And nature. Jerry Cord's big on that.
Huge for him. Rejuvenation, inspiration, just being outdoors.
Spirituality and faith come up too as sources of meaning and coping for some people.
Yes, various contributors share how that plays a role for them. It's diverse.
And we can't forget the basics. Nutrition, exercise tailored to you, Jude Austin's running, and recreation, for example.
Right. And Brandon Wildish's story about music playing or listening as stress relief and self-expression.
Powerful tools. Now, personal therapy. The book really emphasizes this for counselors themselves, doesn't it?
Consistently, at all career stages, it's presented as just fundamental self-care for helpers.
What are the benefits highlighted?
Increased self-awareness, better empathy for clients, reduced burnout risk. Research supports this. Michelle Muratori shared her own positive experiences too.
And boundaries again. Work-life balance. Managing overloaded schedules. That's a constant struggle.
A very real challenge. Adrienne Aiken-Bolton talks about juggling being a mom and a counselor, setting priorities.
Being honest with people in your life seems important too.
Yeah, with loved ones, colleagues, not hiding the struggles, and forgiveness, forgiving others, but also forgiving yourself.
Letting go of resentment. That sounds key for well-being.
Absolutely essential. And the book talks about nurturing relationships, calling it relationship care.
I like that term. And self-compassion, mentorship.
All vital. Jude building his mentor community. Ty Leonard's impact as a mentor. These relationships are powerful forms of support and care.
So it's about finding meaning beyond just the job title.
Exactly. Connection, creativity, purpose, trusting yourself. John Carlson's Good Life idea focused on relationships and well-being. Jesse Darkus using creativity.
And finally, making a plan, a realistic self-care plan.
Yeah, the practical side. Self-evaluation, prioritizing, actually scheduling it, getting support. Mike Aldridge's journey showed it takes patience, coping with setbacks. It's a process.
So pulling this all together, making self-care part of the training itself seems crucial.
Definitely. Nicholas Lazareschi talked about needing those discussions in counselor ed programs.
Creating that safe space in the classroom for students to check in, practice these things.
Fostering that culture right from the start.
Yeah.
And challenging the internal barriers, the fear, the negative self-talk about taking time for yourself.
Making it a conscious effort, even if the program doesn't push it.
Right. And maybe the simplest thing, being willing to ask for help.
Such an important reminder.
So wrapping up this deep dive on counselor self-care, the big message is clear, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not a luxury. It's not optional if you want to sustain yourself in this work or any caring role, really.
It's a necessity for effectiveness, for your own well-being, for resilience.
And it's not just a checklist. It's ongoing. Self-awareness, adapting, committing to yourself.
A continuous, dynamic, very personal process.
Okay, so our final thought for you listening. After hearing all these strategies, all these personal stories, what's one small thing, one concrete action you could take today?
Yeah, something to start or maybe deepen your own self-care practice.
And just imagine what might change for you, personally, professionally, if you started nurturing yourself with the same energy and dedication you give to others.